Hey guys, Editing Ashley here. I forgot to film an intro, so this is just a clip of the makeup look that I'm showing you guys today. I'm going to teach you step by step my makeup routine, all the way to how to fill in your brows, how to do your eyeliner, where to place your contour, and everything. Everything I use will be down below. Let's get into the video. So first we're starting off with brows. I'm going to be using the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in the color black. As you can see, I'm just going to shape my brows out bottom first and then doing the top. This is just for me to see exactly where I need to fill in my brows. I'm not going to overline just because I'm going to basically start off with the base that I already have and build my foundation from there. So I will start taking my pencil and going in about medium to heavy with the pencil side just to go ahead and fill in from arch to tail. And I'm going to every now and again brush my spoolie through the product so that way it's not too packed on and it blends very nicely. We want the brows to look almost as if they were just freshly waxed, and I just have that much hair, even though girl, we know I don't. Once I feel that the end of the brow, my arch to tail, has been thoroughly blended in, I will go ahead and start with very small hair-like strokes in the front of the brow. This is just to give it a very natural look, as if the brow does have more hair and it looks as if I just got my brows freshly waxed. You always want the arch to tail to be more opaque and the beginning of the brow to be a little bit more translucent, but not too translucent. You want it to have almost a light shading in the front, so that way you get a very nice gradient look, almost ombre-ish. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do my other brow the same way, and once I finish filling it in, I will then try to match the sizing to the same brow on the other side. I'm not really cutting any of this footage out just to show you my brows are one of the main things during my makeup routine that take me a very long time. Even though I've been doing my makeup for years now, it is something that it takes time getting to learn, especially getting to learn which brow shape best fits your face. Some girls do better with a light arch, some girls look nicer with a bit bigger of an arch, and some girls look better with about a straight brow. It's really all up to what fits your face and getting to know what you like and what you prefer for yourself. So here I am putting my LA Girl concealer in the color Toffee on this brush. I don't remember where this brush came from, to be honest. It just one day ended up in my bag. But I'm just going to apply the concealer to this brush and start to conceal and shape my brows even more. So I always start concealing my brows underneath the arch first. At this moment, I have a lot of product on my brush and I don't really want that on the front of my brow. So after I map out the arch to tail, I will then slightly slide the concealer to the front of the brow to conceal it. Concealer can really make or break your brows, and it can also be the main savior to your brows. If one brow is smaller than the other, you can start to map the other brow to fit it by doing exactly what I did, which is dragging it all the way to the middle of my nose and seeing if the lines are meeting at the exact same places. Now, when it comes to concealing the top of your brows, it is actually, I feel, the hardest part of concealing the brows, because you'll see in a second, I didn't get too close to the line when it came around the arch, and the skin makes it look like the brow is a bit bigger. If you see that right there where I'm about to go back over. This is fine. You can always just go back over like I just did to make sure that you really get on the line of where the pencil is. I just want you to be very aware that you should not freak out. Just get a little bit closer. It is a bit scary to get closer, but if anything, you can always go back over with brow pencil and really just shade back in whatever got dismissed. I'm now putting the leftover concealer on my eyelids just to prime it for my eyeshadow, and I'm going to blend all of that concealer out from the bottom and the top of the brow. You really need to do this to make sure that your face looks very blended, so that way it's not too blocky. And when it comes to doing the top, I really just make sure that I like press and pat to really blend it out. And I'm actually going to start bringing it towards the front of the brow and kind of blending it into the front to give it an even more nice, really blended look, to make it seem like, oh, maybe these are her natural brows. So moving on to shadow, I'm going to take my Morphe M510 brush and just tap off that excess powder, as you just saw me do, and really start blending this burnt orange brownish color into my crease area. I'm going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes you'll see me do a little bit of a circle, but this is just really the blending method that I prefer. I know there are other people who prefer other ones, but this is the one that works best for me. Another tip is, if you are not very experienced in doing your eyeshadow, but you really want to start playing with shadows, I would suggest doing as I am, with starting off with one shadow and a bit of a blending, fluffier brush, and seeing how a shadow should be properly blended out. And then from there, you can decide if you want to start packing on more shadows using a transition shade and things of that sort. I couldn't believe it. So I'm taking the same concealer, the same brush that I used to conceal my brows, to start my cut crease. I'm going to start right where my inner corner is and bring that product all the way around in a semicircle to the other end of my eye. And as you can see, I went in a complete circle. Some beginners are not able to do that. I have been doing a cut crease for a while now. If you are not one of those people who can start off with beginning completely drawing the semicircle, all you need to do is slowly pat the brush with the product around where the semicircle should be, and it'll start to create that shape for you. And then you can just fill it in and go back over, so that way it's a lot easier and you can really map out your circle. So I'm just going to continue to pat the product into the cut crease, and until I'm happy with it, and make sure that it's all solid and mattified. And then once I am completely happy with the shape, I will go ahead and do the same process on my other eye. Now I'm just really going to start refining both cut creases to make sure that they're the same size, to make sure that they are twins and that they match each other. And once I feel like I'm finished refining them, I will dry them so I can start putting powder on top. I'm just taking my Morphe M167 brush. It is a packing brush. I'm just going to use this to get a very natural, actually very close to my skin tone shadow, and putting that on top of the concealer. As you can see, the concealer is dry. It's not like dry as the Sierra Desert, but it is dry enough where I could pat the shadow in. Never pat your shadow onto wet concealer. It will literally just look a mess, and it'll actually end up very, very cakey, and you won't get a very smooth application. I'm getting used to receiving, still getting good at not leaving. I'm talking, you're not scared. Learning to be grateful for myself. So I'm going to take that same blending Morphe 510 brush from earlier. I did not dip it back into the palette. I'm just using the remaining product that was still left over on the brush and really just blending out the outer corners of the shadow and cut crease so it doesn't look too cut, too clean, just so it's a bit more natural. I'm taking that same packing brush, my Morphe 167 from earlier that I used, and I'm using a glittery shiny shade from the palette. This is optional. I just wanted to add a little pizzazz to my cut crease, and as you can see, it's a bit of a difference, but it's literally not that big of a difference. It's just I wanted something a little bit more glittery. And just another tip, you should always put down a shadow prior to putting down glitter or any type of sparkle. It'll help you have a better finish. So now we're going to get into eyeliner. I'm just going to tight line my lash line at the top with this liquid e.l.f. liner. Gradually, as I start to make my wing and bring it into the lash line, I know that it's going to gradually get bigger, which is why I start off at a very small, very minimal line. So I'm going to go into depth about what exactly I did and how I did it in the next clip, but for now just watch and see exactly what I'm doing, and then I'll explain further. So to start, I'm going to take the brush out of the packaging. So as you can see, this is not a felt tip, this is a bristle brush, which means that there are miniature hairs combined that make up the actual brush. I'm going to slowly pat the excess product on the top of the packaging, so that way there is product on the brush, but it is a very minimal amount, and the brush is very thin and small. So that way I know that when I go to put the line to start, I will not have to worry about excess product smudging or moving around. I have very minimal product to work with, and I can place it exactly where I need it to be. So this is another technique to do your liner, which is instead of tight lining first, you start with your wing. Whichever feels the most comfortable for you is what you should do. But what I want to show you is the exact technique I did on the other eye. So as you can see, I'm looking right where my crease is. Where my eye closes and where that crease is where I'm going to take my wing in to meet my lash line. Basically, throughout the day, you rarely ever have your eyes closed. and your eyes are always open and you're always looking at people. So doing your eyeliner with your eyes closed, you can't really tell exactly where you're taking your wing and what exactly can be seen. So here I am making sure that my wing is seen to the best of its ability, so I can see when my eye is open, this is how my wing looks, compared to me closing my eye and building my wing from there. Now I'm just really going back over my wing and making sure that it matches the other side as far as thickness and length. It's very, very, very hard to get your eyeliner to be the exact same as the other side, but it just takes time. Now it's time for lashes. I know lashes are a bit hard, especially for beginners, but these are the top two products that will really help you. This is the Duo Lash Glue with an applicator. That way you don't have to use regular glue or hair glue. And these Ardell Lash Applicator Tweezers are the best. They have a curve in them that really helps you really get into exactly where you need to place your lashes on your lash line. And they're very, very durable for holding the lash up against the lid to really make sure that it sets in place and dries where it needs to go. So I'm going to look down to apply my lashes, and as you can see, I'm just going to press the lash up against my lid and place it where I want it to go exactly. And the good thing about these tweezers is that they really help with pushing the strip into the lash line. After applying both lashes, I noticed that my inner corner, which is a big problem area for many, was starting to lift. So I took my Duo glue. The applicator, like I was saying earlier, was really, really good. I put it right on my lid, right where I want my lash to sit. And I go ahead, I had a little get on my lash. And then I'm just going to take my fan for about 10-15 seconds, dry it up, get my Ardell Lash Applicator, grab right where that inner corner is and place it exactly where I set that glue. It dries fast. I go ahead and put my fan on it and boom, all done. Here I am using my One Size Secure the Blur under eye patches. These are mainly used prior to your eye and your eyebrows. However, I did not want them in the frame so you guys could really see exactly what I was showing to you. So I'm just going to put them on now. It is an amazing product. They usually sit for 10 to 15 minutes and then you rub the excess product into your under eye. However, since they are literally dripping as they come out the package, I usually put the excess product from the packaging onto my face as extra primer, and I'm just gonna sit with these on so that way they can really do what they're supposed to. Now I'm just going to take those off and rub the excess product into my face like I said before, and I'm going to take my Patrick Star One Size Secure the Blur primer and just go ahead and do 2 to 3 lines on each side, my forehead and my chin, and rub that in so we can go ahead and start with our face routine. Once my primer has been thoroughly massaged into my face, I'm now going to go in with my Fenty Pro Filter foundation in the shade 420. I am using the square foundation brush from Real Techniques out of their Flawless Base collection to apply the product to my face. I only use this brush to apply the product. Then I use a beauty blender. I believe it's from Morphe, and I use it to blend out my product. as you can see, this is a very light application of foundation. I'm not using too much. We're not really trying to cake it on. It is summer. I do live in Florida. The heat is ridiculous. So I want to make sure that I use little to the most minimal amount of liquid products because they are known to slide and I am very oily. So I will just use, this is about 2 to 3 pumps, and just blend that out, and then I will build my face gradually with more powders and setting and blush. This next step coming up is optional. Once I finish blending out with my beauty blender, I then take my BL1 from Spectrum Collections brush. It's the brush from Mean Girls that says she doesn't even go here. And I will take that and pat, no sliding, pat the foundation. The brush is completely clean. I'm just using it to pat my foundation in so that way my foundation doesn't look too streaky, and as well that it really covers all the areas I need it to. I'm then doing the same technique with the same concealer with the same brush, and I'm now going to conceal my face. So I am going to take my concealer and place it right off the bridge of my nose, right where my nose slides to slowly dip and form back into my face. And I'm going to apply the concealer right underneath my eyes, down the bridge of my nose, right above where my eyebrows are, and as well as my chin. This is called your T-zone, and this is where you will always put your concealer, and this is just to highlight your face. I'm going to put a little bit of concealer right under where my contour usually goes, but that's just to brighten it up a little bit. It's just something that I do. It is optional. I'm now taking my Morphe contour and highlight sponge, and I use mine dry. Some people prefer to use theirs wet. I don't like that, so I use mine dry. As you can see, this is a tip. I am patting, I'm not swiping. You never want to swipe your concealer or really any product when you're trying to blend, just because it will make your makeup appear streaky, almost like product on a glass window, and that is not something you want. So to contour, I don't know where this brush is from, but it's the LA Girl Pro Concealer in Dark Cocoa. So I want to show you exactly, see that little diagonal from my eyebrow to my bridge of my nose? I'm going to start my contour right there. I'm going to slowly drag it, and then I'm going to end it right in that little crease where the bridge of the nose starts to slowly flatten to the face. So I really want you to see that. I don't know what bone this is, but this is exactly how I contour my face every time. So I lift my brows to really see where that bone is, and then I slowly bring it in, and boom, right there. And that's my contour. That's how I make sure it's even. I then put my contour underneath the bridge of my nose, right on that little, I call it like the bell of my nose, but right there. Now we're going to contour my cheekbone. So my face is a bit bigger, so I do have to contour to make my face look a bit slimmer. This is your natural contour. I'm going to go 1/2 of an inch above my natural contour. So right where that darker spot in my face is, I'm going 1/2 of an inch above, and I'm doing a slight U, so it slowly starts to go up towards my temple. So I'm just going to bring it in, and I'm not going to go too far because when you blend it out, the product will start to move. I'm then going to do the same exact thing right where my chin is, so I can get a very, very non-existent right now, but I can make one jawline. So I'm going to take the contour and I'm going to put it right above 1/2 of an inch, right above where my natural contour is. Then I'm going to make very, very small dots around my forehead so I can contour my forehead as well. Now I'm spraying my Morphe setting spray on my Morphe sponge, and I'm going to start blending out. So contour is made to make shadows in your face. Concealer is made to make highlights. When I have a bigger face like I do, I make sure that I contour downwards so the shadow takes up more of my face in the areas that I need it to. This way my face appears slimmer and it just gives me more of a snatched look. Once again, all patting, no swiping. You can always pat downwards, but do not swipe. I'm now taking the same Morphe sponge from earlier and I'm dipping it into my Fenty Pro Filter Retouch setting powder. This is in the shade Honey, and you see right where my contour goes into a little bit of my cheekbones. I'm going to go right around the apple of my cheeks with my setting powder. And this is just to really highlight that area and really intensify that contour. So after I'm finished tracing out my contour with my powder, I'm then going to go in my T-zone where I put my concealer, so my under eye, my chin, and right in between my brows. I then realized that I did not blend out my contour on my nose, but I'm going to get to that, I promise. You'll see what I'm doing is I'm really pressing the powder into my under eyes, my chin, and above my eyebrows, but I'm going to really let the powder sit underneath my contour and right where my nose is, so that way it'll really highlight. The longer I leave it, the brighter it'll be and the longer it'll set for. Then I finally started to blend out the contour that I left on my nose. And I am swiping, but it's only for my nose. Now I'm taking my Fenty Sunstalker bronzer and I'm going to be using my A05 brush from Spectrum Collections that says "You're like really pretty." And I'm just going to use my bronzer and I'm going to go over all the areas that I used my liquid contour. Since this brush is too big for me to do my nose contour, I'm going to take that same Morphe Packer brush that I used earlier and I'm going to dip that into the bronzer to contour my nose. Now we're getting into one of my favorite parts, which is blending. This is the blending brush from the Real Techniques Flawless Base collection, and I am just using that to really buff out my contour so it's not too harsh. Then I'm going to take my A01 from Spectrum Collections that says "Shut Up," and I'm going to brush off my excess setting powder. So I'm taking this little puff from my Fenty Beauty powder and I'm going to be using it to apply my One Size Turn Up the Base foundation powder. This is in the color Medium Dark 4 with gold undertones. I'm placing it everywhere where my contour is not to really highlight and set my face. I'm going to dip my same puff into my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. This is called the Complexion Perfecting Powder, and it's literally that. These two powders mixed together make my face look so airbrushed, so photoshopped, so blurred. It looks amazing. Now I'm taking that same blending brush I used earlier from Real Techniques to blend out my bronzer, and I'm not going to dip it back into the product. I'm just going to use the product that's still left over remaining on the brush to bring back a little bit of color to my face, so that way it still looks airbrushed and flawless finished, but we don't want to have any flashback Mary. Now I'm taking the Real Techniques brush. It is the contour brush from the Flawless Base collection, but I am using it for my blush. It's just the brush that I prefer, and I'm dipping it into my Kylie Pink Powder Blush. And as you can see, I'm going basically nowhere near the actual apples of my cheeks. I am mainly going higher above my cheekbones to give my face a really snatched and elevated look. As you can see, it really pulls my face back and makes it not as round in my cheek area. I'm then going to take my blending brush from Real Techniques, and I'm going to blend my blush and contour a little bit together to give them a nice gradient blend. I'm going in with my Morphe setting spray, and then I'm just going to fan myself so that way that dries down. Then to top it all off, I'm going in with my Fenty Beauty gloss in the color Sweet Mouth. Absolutely love this lip gloss, such a cute color. And as you can see, girl, I start feeling myself because I know I'm finished. I know all I have to do is curl my hair, and let's go ahead and wrap this baby up.
Alright, y'all, that's the final look. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will be posting every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want more. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.